Have you ever felt like your mind just never stops thinking? That voice in your head, it comments, it plans, it worries, it imagines, it remembers. And most of the time, it feels like that voice is you. But here's the real truth, friend. You are not your thoughts. There is a part of you that can step back and notice the thoughts. And that quiet awareness is what we call the observer. Hello, friend, and welcome to Torches, Yoga, and Mindfulness. I'm Lauren, and this is Misty Mindful. We'll be your coach today. If you're curious about mindfulness, healing, and practical habits that actually work, you're in the right place. Here we focus on simple but powerful practices grounded in ancient wisdom and modern science to care for both your mind and body. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Today, we are going to explore what it means to live as the observer instead of the thinking mind. We're going to talk about the science behind why our mind gets stuck in overthinking, and of course, we can't discuss this without touching on the wonderful teachings of Eckhart Tolle. And most importantly, I have practices for you so that you can begin to experience life from this place of spacious awareness. Most of us grow up believing our thoughts are who we are. And no offense to 17th century philosopher Rene Descartes, but I think he was a little off base when he said, "I think, therefore I am." This implies we are nothing without our thoughts. But we exist. In fact, I would argue we exist even more fully in between thoughts. In meditation, in moments of awe and deep presence, we still exist. Maybe if he were here with us today on the Torches channel, he would rephrase it to, "I am, therefore I can think." When we believe we are our thoughts, that's where the trouble begins. When the thought says, "I'm not good enough," we believe it and take it as truth. If it says, "They don't really like us, they don't really like me, we're just going to fail," or whatever imaginary scenario comes up with that day, we feel that fear as if it's a reality. Now, these thoughts can also be compounded with others, like, "I don't really care if they like me or not," or "I don't even care to really try." But those are totally separate lies our brains tell us. And here's the thing, telling ourselves we don't care doesn't protect us. It just cuts us off from the very connection that helps us feel grounded, safe, and at peace. Even apathy is a reaction, a thought you're mistaking for freedom. True calm and presence doesn't come from ignoring or dismissing life. They come from noticing, from being awake, from remembering that even when the mind says it doesn't matter, we, as the observer, can still notice, choose, and be present. Eckhart Tolle calls this identification with the mind. The thoughts run the show, and we don't realize that we're more than them. And the ego thrives on this identification. The ego wants us to keep the past alive as a form of validation for it. And it only looks to the future for a sense of control and security. The past provides identity, answering the mind's question of, "Who am I without my story?" And the future consoles that "what if something goes wrong" thought. That's why it's almost impossible to find the present moment if we believe we are our thoughts. When our identities are so entangled in our thoughts, we spend our lives caught in loops, replaying old conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, planning, analyzing, and worrying. This is exhausting. They are literally energy leaks. But it's not our fault. Our brains evolved to keep us safe by anticipating threats. It just doesn't realize that most of what it's trying to protect us from now as modern humans is stuff our brain has made up in our imagination. So let's bring the science in here now. Neuroscience shows that when the mind wanders 40% of the time, the default mode network, the DMN, lights up. And this network becomes active when we're not focused on a task. It spins stories about ourselves, our past, our imagined future. It's basically the brain's storytelling machine. The DMN is linked to higher levels of anxiety and depression when it's overactive. Because when our brain is left unchecked, it tends to wander into self-criticism, worry, and rumination. Okay, not to scare you. At this point, you may be thinking, "Okay, Coach Lauren, If we're up against our own brains, how are we even supposed to break out of these cycles? And I would say, great question. Thank you so much for asking. The answer is mindfulness. Studies show that small, mindful practices, even just 10 or 15 minutes a day, quiets the default mode network. Brain scans reveal increased activity in areas tied to present moment attention and emotional regulation. So, scientifically, when you are practicing being the observer, you're not just imagining it, you are rewiring your brain. Each time you notice a thought without getting caught up in it, you strengthen new pathways, ones that are linked to presence, clarity, and peace. So, what is the observer? The observer is the part of you that notices thoughts instead of becoming them. It's the spaciousness in which our thoughts appear and disappear. Eckhart Tolle describes it really beautifully when he said, awareness is the space in which thoughts exist, when that space has become conscious of itself. That's a kind of word salad there, but what he means is simple. Our mind is like the sky, and your thoughts are the clouds floating through it. Awareness is the sky itself, always present, always spacious. Usually, we just get lost in the clouds, thinking we are the clouds. But when you notice, oh, I am the sky, I am not these clouds, that's what he means by awareness, becoming conscious of itself. I like to think of it with these images, either clouds in the sky, or even our thoughts are waves and we are the ocean, or our thoughts are the movie and we are the screen. Notice how in each of these images, the background isn't disturbed by what passes through. We are the ocean, the sky, the screen. This is the difference between saying, I am sad, and I notice sadness is here. This may seem small, but that shift is life-changing. Because in the second version, we are no longer defined by the emotion. We are the one witnessing it. Let's try noticing the observer for a moment. Take a breath and simply notice the thoughts passing through your mind. No judgment, no trying to change anything. Now notice the space behind those thoughts, the part of you that is simply aware. Just observe this for a moment. Don't cling to the thoughts, let them pass. No need to analyze anything. Notice a thought arising and notice the awareness that sees it. We're just practicing gentle awareness, just witnessing. Okay, friend, go ahead and come back to me. If you happen to close your eyes to better connect with your awareness, go ahead and flutter them open, coming back to this space. If you felt like your thoughts were too loud or wondered if you were truly experiencing the observer, that means that even if it felt like that short exercise was a struggle for you, you're on the right track. And that is where practice comes in. So, of course, I have 5 practices for you that will help you to cultivate your observer in your day-to-day life. This first one I have for you is called mindful breathing. Let's start with something so simple, it feels almost too simple. Your breath. Your breath is always with you, happening right now. And you don't need to think about it. It just keeps going like the Energizer Bunny. When we bring our awareness to our breath, it becomes a bridge to the present moment. Science shows that mindful breathing calms the nervous system, lowers cortisol levels, and regulates the amygdala, the part of our brain that is tied to our stress and fear. But beyond that, it anchors you in awareness. Try it now without controlling it too tightly, whether you're breathing deep or not. However, just noticing. Take a slow, steady inhale and a gentle exhale. Try it a couple more times, noticing the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen, the sensation of the air flowing through your nostrils. Notice how thoughts may still appear, but they no longer pull you in as strongly. Breathing this way, even for just a minute, can remind you, I am the awareness noticing this breath, not the stream of thoughts trying to tell me something else. And that practice brings us to body awareness. Sometimes thoughts can feel too convincing to step away from, and that's when we can return to the body. Try it with me now. Bring your awareness to the sensations of your body. If nothing stands out, start at the crown of your head and gently roll your awareness down your whole self. Maybe notice the feeling of your feet on the floor, your weight in a chair, the temperature of the air on your skin. Our bodies always live in the present moment. For instance, I'm not stepping outside and freezing in the August weather because my body got cold in February. While on the same track, my mind could still be replaying some scenario for the thousandth time. Neuroscience backs this up. Focusing on body sensation activates the insula. Let's take a look at that real quick. So the insula, I don't know if I really have a good, is folded in here, deep in here. So it also activates, breathing like this activates the somatosensory cortex. And that is this area, it's this upper region. And when these two come together, they shift activity away from the default mode network and focus instead on direct experience. So the somatosensory cortex processes raw sensory data, like the location of the sensation, the intensity of it, or the sharpness. For instance, if I am feeling on a stone, I can feel that it's smooth. The insula adds the feeling tone, the pleasant or unpleasant quality, and it links it with our emotions and internal state. If this was a bug, for instance, I would be less pleased to be holding it and touching it, and the insula would register that. Together, they don't just tell you what's happening, but also how it feels. This pair also integrates the external sensations with our internal ones, creating a whole body sense of being here now. So when you tune into your body, even if it's something as simple as tingling in your hands, your brain is literally shifting out of the story of me and my problems and into embodied experience. Try it now. Notice your hands. Don't move them, just feel them. Noticing the tingling, the energy there, the warmth, or if you're like me, their coldness. For a moment, your awareness is resting with sensation rather than thought. That's the observer in action. We can also practice by noticing gaps. This next practice I have for you is noticing the gaps between thoughts. This one feels a little more subtle, but it can be profound. Between every thought, there's a small gap, a little space of silence. Most of the time, we rush right past it. But if you notice it, even for a second, you realize, I'm still here, even without thought. If you're in a safe space to do so, I invite you to close your eyes now. But you can certainly practice this with them open, whatever you want to do. Now, wait for a thought to come. Don't let it pull you down its rabbit hole. Just let it pass. If it helps, picture the thought as a cloud and let it drift out of view in your sky. When it passes, notice the space before the next one arrives. That quiet spaciousness is awareness itself. Eckhart Tolle calls this the joy of being because it's not tied to anything you're thinking or doing. It's simply presence. At first, you may only catch a glimpse, like noticing a flying bird between branches. But with practice, those glimpses lengthen and you discover the peace that's always been here beneath the noise. So it's not enough just to notice the thoughts. How we notice them matters too. If we observe with harshness or self-judgment, we are still trapped in the mind. The observer isn't cold or critical. It's spacious and compassionate. So when you notice a painful thought like, I'm not enough, meet it with kindness. Maybe say silently, I see you. You're just a thought, and I don't have to believe you. Self-compassion research from Dr. Kristen Neff shows this gentle way of observing activates care circuits in the brain, reducing stress and increasing resilience. Think of it like watching a scared child. Instead of scolding them, you offer them a warm presence. That's how we meet our thoughts and emotions, not as enemies, but as experiences passing through awareness. This compassionate observation is what allows us to rest as the observer without fear. It softens the heart while steadying the mind. Okay, friend, for this list, I have most certainly saved the best for last. Now, what works best for me, it may be different than what works best for you, but for me, this practice right here literally took my practice to a whole new level I never imagined. If you've been around the page, you've heard it before. I have another like full 10-minute video on this that was really early in my recording career. So mind the cuts and the lighting and be nice. But I'll put the link in the description below because if you're practicing with experiencing the observer, this other video is one you'll definitely want to watch too. And I promise it won't be redundant. We touch on some other approaches and practices in the video. But anyway, the best one, labeling our thoughts. And it's as simple as it sounds. I'll be real with you though. The hard part is remembering to do it, catching yourself in the moment. But the more you practice, the easier it will be. When a thought comes, maybe like, I forgot to text them back, or I'm not doing this right, just softly say the label in your mind. Thinking, judging, planning, remembering, label it as to what it is. You can even use labels for emotions, for those thoughts that bring anger, sadness, grief, worry, or fear. This doesn't mean we are pushing them away, the thoughts. It means naming them so that you can see them for what they really are, mental events, like clouds passing. You're simply pointing out, oh, there goes another one. Psychologists call this cognitive diffusion, and it helps separate us from thoughts so they don't define us. Research even shows this reduces time lost in rumination and helps with anxiety and depression. So, next time your mind says, I can't handle this, try gently labeling worry and notice how that created just enough distance, enough space to realize, oh, that's just the mind doing what it does. But I am the one who notices it. Friend, when we live as the observer in our daily life, it can look like many things. In a difficult conversation, instead of reacting, you notice the rising anger or the urge to interrupt. And in that pause, you choose differently. In moments of stress, instead of being consumed by thoughts like, I can't handle this, you notice the thought and remember, I am the awareness watching this thought. Even in moments of joy, you savor them more deeply because you're not lost in the next task, worry, or previous story. Living as the observer isn't about rejecting the mind, it's about remembering you are more than the mind. As Tolle says, rather than being your thoughts and emotions, be the awareness behind them. That's the invitation, to live not from the narrow identity of thought, but from the spacious freedom of awareness. Okay, friend, I know this has been a lot of information to take in, and at the end of a yoga practice, we like to take a corpse pose, a shavasana, to help let the practice settle into our bodies for the day. And I would like to kind of do that with you now. You can close your eyes for a moment if you would like, but at the very least, bring your attention to your body, either as a whole or just one part of your body. Let my words guide you. Relax your shoulders and take a deep breath with me. Exhale fully, letting your brow, jaw, and abdomen relax. Friend, you are not the storm. You are the sky it passes through. You are not the movie of thoughts. You are the screen it plays on. Each time you notice your thoughts, instead of being swept away by them, you return home to yourself. That's what it means to live as the observer. This week, I invite you to simply notice when your mind is speaking, can you step back just a little? Can you hear the voice without mistaking it for who you are? Friend, take one more deep breath, and as you're ready, exhale and open your eyes to return to this space with me. Friend, if this is your first time living as the observer, I would love to hear about your experience. If it's something that popped up during this video, or if it comes to you another day. If you don't mind sharing, please leave a comment below or send me an email. I always have it listed in the description, most of the times that I remember to put it there. Anyway, friend, thank you so much for sharing a piece of your day with me. Stay present, stay kind to yourself, and I will see you soon.